Hello there. Today I want to do a review of the Pelikan M1000. This has been a grail pen of mine since I started getting into this hobby, really. So I gave it a month. I've used this pen for a month, so I'm not too biased about it. And now I do feel like I've a bit of a more nuanced view about this pen. So let's start off with the box. It comes in this nice, well, not nice, but it's a cardboard sleeve. It's something. It's presentable at least. And then you get the gift box inside for if you want to give this to somebody. It's really nothing special though. You get this nice leather pouch, which the pen is inside, and you have this letter here. Get a note from Pelikan thanking you for your purchase, and some brochures. So it's nothing crazy, especially for the price. Nothing flashy or extravagant, but it's presentable and it's classy enough for a gift box, just like the pen actually. So here's the pouch. It's really nice material. I think it's great, but I wouldn't use it because it's white, and you know how white things are. It's probably going to be dirtied and torn apart pretty easily. So here it is, the Pelikan M1000. I think this pen looks absolutely phenomenal. It's very classy. It's not too flashy, but it's very, very defined and subtle, and I think I think conservative is the right word. If you look at this pen, you know it's a special one, but it doesn't present itself to be a special one, if you know what I mean. And the black, gold, and green coloration, the contrast is just absolutely perfect to me. But anyway, on the front here you have the Pelikan logo on the front finial, and you have on the cap band Pelikan Souveron, Germany. It's all stamped in, very nicely done. Beautiful job on that. And on the back here, on the piston knob, you have two more stripes. Of course, the piston knob, I will not operate it because there's ink inside the pen. But it works perfectly, it works smoothly, and it sucks in a lot of ink. But this pen does need a lot of capacity because it writes extremely wet, and you can use up all the ink in just 2 days if you write a lot with it. Here's the barrel. Now this is part of this pen that I don't really like, but only for the new generation, because in the old ones you used to be able to see through all those black stripes. If you shine a light at the back of this pen, you could see through all those stripes to see the mechanism. You can see how much ink you have in the pen. You can't do that anymore. It's just solid black lines. You can still see, if your ink runs out completely, you can still see this very last part here is transparent, but everything else is black. So if you have a full fill inside of the pen, I mean, you wouldn't be able to see through anything, which I feel, I mean, that's kind of a niche take, but personally that takes away a bit from the magic of the pen. And here we have the clip here. I also like the clip quite a lot on this pen. It's in the shape of a pelican's beak. You can see the little eyes on there. I think is really nice attention to detail and very usable. Of course, all of this is gold plated. Looks great, honestly. Not much I can say except that. You can take the cap off, and inside you see the section. Rather small section, but perfectly sized for writing. And the threads, which are very subdued. You won't feel them at all if you write with it. And a little bit of a gold band at the very tip. And of course, the star of the show is that nib. Absolutely beautiful 18 karat nib. Very big as well. Not so much in terms of width. Like the Mont Blanc nibs are like very wide and flared out. This one is kind of a straight kind of shape here. Straight out and not too wide, but the printing is absolutely beautiful with the duotone gold and rhodium. Lovely patterns. Very, very, very distinctive and very classy. And I love how long this nib is, because then there's a bit more distance from the page to my hand, so the angular moment is there, and I feel like that gives the nib a bit more of a feedback. You feel the pen on the paper a bit more. Of course, the feed is big and beefy, very, very juicy feed. plastic, but I mean everything is plastic nowadays. It works well, and that's all that really matters. So that's all I have to say about the looks of this pen. Now, in terms of size, a lot of people say this is an oversized pen, and it definitely is, but not really in terms of length. We could do a comparison here with the Lamy Safari, which is a pretty standard sized pen. Pretty long fountain pen, but you can see it. The Pelikan is just barely longer than the Lamy. So it's not that long in your hand. You don't really feel that it's overly big. It is, however, very girthy. It is a very thick pen. You can see that thickness right there compared to, say, the Lamy. It is about a whole ring thicker, especially because the Lamy is like hexagonal shaped. You just see how much thicker the Pelikan is. And it might not look so much thicker on camera, but you can definitely feel it when you're riding with it. You can see, compare it with the Kawiko Sport, obviously it's going to be much, much longer, but also quite a bit thicker. And you really feel that thickness in your hand when you're riding with it. It completely fills your hand, and it's really easy to move this pen and glide it across the page. I think it fits super well. Look at that. It's a really comfortable pen for me, and I don't have particularly big hands, so I think this will be like the perfect size for most people. Okay, so that's really all I have to say about this pen, and now we can go into the writing sample, and I'll talk a bit about what I like and don't like about how this pen writes. Alright, now it's time for the writing sample, and just before I start, this is a medium nib. It's probably a nib that most of you guys won't get when you buy a Pelikan M1000, mostly because the nibs on these pens, they run quite a bit wider than conventional nibs, so this being a medium is more like a broad, which you'll see soon when I write with it, and that's worsened by the fact that it's quite wide and juicy. It's very wet, which makes the lines even wider than they originally are, but I'm okay with it because I think it's a big pen and it's a pricey pen. I want the size of the writing to kind of suit that, but just know if you get a fine nib, you'll have something that's much thinner than this. So yeah, let's go and start with the writing sample. So this is the Pelikan M1000. Now, as you could see there, I'm not sure if you could see, there was a heart start. So that's a common problem with these Pelikan pens. The tips of these nibs tend to be over polished. So in this case, this pen has baby's bottom, and I was kind of aware of that issue anyway. So when I first got it, it would heart start constantly on the first stroke of writing. But now it's gotten a little bit better because the tipping material has worn off a little bit. But just know, if you buy one of these, be aware that you're probably going to have to send it to Nibmeister. But here's the Pelikan M1000. It's got an 18 karat medium, and the nib, sorry, not the nib, the ink is Iroshizuku. Actually, what is this ink called? Chikurin. Yes, I think it's a beautiful color. It shades nicely. It's got this really nice kind of fauna look to it. I think it's great. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. And here's line variation. I'm not pressing it down too hard because, you know, it's an 18 karat nib and it's a very expensive pen. But you could get very, very nice flex from it very easily. You don't have to press down hard at all like the modern flex nibs. You can see the hard start there again. Oh, quite a few hard starts. I really have to send this off quickly. So, how do I feel about this nib? Well, it writes very, very smoothly. Like, you get barely any feedback. If you use this and you use another fountain pen, you would probably not be okay with how much feedback is in the other fountain pen, because this pen just has no feedback at all. Very smooth on the paper. It makes me want to write more. And the flex also helps with it because the nib is bouncy. It kind of has like a personality when you write with it. It's not something I can describe, but it's just extremely good in terms of writing quality. Unfortunately, the baby's bottom really gets to me, and that really kind of annoys me quite a bit. So in the first few days of owning this pen, I didn't enjoy writing with it as much. But if you get this pen to have a perfectly tuned nib, which you should, this is, in my opinion, the best writing pen out there. Just the best pen for pure writing performance.